We're going live tonight on a Saturday night to talk about many things for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half or so, as long as I feel comfortable being on here. But one of the things I wanted to start out by talking about is if y'all have heard of these commercially available robots. Now, there's a robot available right now. It's called Neo, of all things. I mean, the Matrix reference is about Neo. It's this little robot. He ain't little. He's just, I guess he's about 5.5 feet tall. And this individual, I guess you can call him an individual, has cameras for eyes. Okay, this Neo individual. Welcome in, whoever's in, and he can do chores around your house. Okay, now hold on, I have my phone here. I can show y'all a picture of what this individual. We're gonna start calling these people individuals. These bots individuals. I don't know if y'all can't see that. Oh, y'all can't see that. There he is. There he is. That's what he looks like. He looks like a sock man. Y'all see him? He looks like a sock man right there. Welcome in. What up? Welcome in, Young Jay. Salutes and respect. Welcome in, Memphis. Yeah, they wilding. Now I can't. I don't know if I can show a close up picture. Let me see if I can get closer to him. But it ain't gonna let me show y'all because of the light here. But he has cameras for eyes. Okay, so this guy is about $20,000. This guy right here. So if you don't want to have a car and you wanted a robot slave, one's available for you right now. Or you could pay $2.99 a month. I'm telling you, I live in the hood. Okay, you could pay $2.99 a month. No, not $2.99. I'm sorry, $4.99 a month. So $500 a month to have this dude walking around your house doing this shit. You know, what up, Young Jay? Oh, you on the live? Oh yeah, you right here in the beginning too. And we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna be real lighthearted in the beginning so we can get past the algorithm and the censors. We gonna have a nice lighthearted chat to begin with. Yeah, 20 bands. 20 bands for this nigga. But that ain't the crazy thing about this, okay? 20 bands for this thing, okay? To be in your house. And I guess they say you can dress him, right? Like that's his standard look. It just looks fucking weird, right? So he'll be in your house, okay? If you ask him to do the laundry, he'll do the laundry. If you ask him to do the dishes, I guess he'll do the dishes. Whatever task that you can come up with for him, he will do it. But here's the thing. He I guess he has an AI system so he can learn, and when one of him learns, all of them learn. Almost like like iRobot. This is where we at. This thing. This thing, okay? Here's where it gets creepy. So, because they're ironing out the kinks right now, right? And it doesn't have 1,000% autonomy. They have, I swear to God, y'all, these sirens haven't been going all night until I went live. But since he don't have full autonomy, those cameras in the eyes also serve to act as the eyes for the people back at the center who produced the robot. So if something goes awry, they can take over the robot and control him in your house. Ain't that fabulous? He's super basic. He's super basic. He looked like an AI rendering, but I've seen him in action. God damn it, it's the world ending? It's the fucking world ending? As soon as I go live, the world start ending, y'all. Ain't that crazy? I don't even recognize that siren. He is basic, but they say you can dress, okay? But the fact that they say, okay, yeah, we can have a guy, and they showed it. They showed like the guy controlling this nigga back at the headquarters with a remote control, okay, and having them do tasks in somebody else's house. I don't like that. That's crazy. So if you sitting over there having sex, right, and the robot's in the room, it could be literally somebody back at the center pleasing themselves that's ain't it outrageous? And I'm like, for 20,000 for 20 bands? For 20 bands, bro. I mean, that's the price of a car, but who the fuck would want that? And now China has revealed one of their robots, okay? And their robot, she can move and gyrate and she got like hips and they didn't give her a face yet, but the anatomy, the anatomy, right? You know, it gets you thinking. It of course is here to monitor you. Hey Gina, welcome in, Nikki. Of course it's here to monitor you, just like all this stuff is. Your phones are here monitoring you. The freaking robot's going to be here monitoring you. The only thing though about the phone or all these other cameras is that the camera can't pick up a weapon and use it against you. This little robot being controlled by somebody at the headquarters theoretically can be, if they just using the controller controlling him, can pick up a weapon, a gun, a knife, and carry out the will of your enemies if hacked. I'm just saying. I don't know the logistics of whether or not these things can be hacked, but I assume that they can be since they run off of a network, right? It's just that the future arrived a little bit too quickly for me. Of course, all my life they've talked about, and all my mother's life they've talked about robots and androids, and eventually this was going to be a thing. But when you really think about it, when you really give it a thought about the machine, right? We as humans make machines to function for us. And I've talked about this in a video before. Every machine in this room, for instance, has a function, specifically a function, right? The phone has many functions, obviously, like a computer. I can point out any machine here. I don't have to give y'all examples. Y'all get what I'm saying. Any machine that we have right now has a function and has a shape that forms that function, right? Why the fuck are you going to make a robot like a human who can't even lift as much as most humans, right? And I got to pay 20 grand for this nigga to do slow laundry and slow dishes in my house, right? And what if I want dinner done in a certain manner? You know what I'm saying? At some point, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta speed up the process. And some of y'all are looking real amateurish out here. The Russian robot looks like a high school science fair product. It's ridiculous. And so these robots are going to be a consumer item, obviously, at $20,000. If you want to trick, I'm not going to say that's affordable, because $20,000 for a fucking robot is in my opinion dumb, but it's not astronomical, right? But that robot, like they said, like y'all said, is basic. That's a basic robot. That's a basic fucking robot. And you know what I'm saying? For 20 G's, it can't really do nothing. And then my thing is, if I'm going to spend 20 G's on a robot, I want to be able to buy robots that can do my bidding. You know what I'm saying? Like I want these niggas to be able to do more than just the tasks that are assigned for. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'll ask it to do, I'm not saying I'll ask it to do anything. But if I wanted my robot to run into a convenience store and grab a bag of chips, why can't I ask it to do that if I'm paying 20 G's for that shit? Welcome, twat lickers. Jesus, brother. That is a fact. You know what I'm saying? I always remember, bro, that party had us worth at least 40 million on the Grammy. But yeah, man, it's crazy ass times. And I don't know. It's always been crazy. I remember what was it? Now, some of y'all may not be old enough to say that. Hey, what's up, James? Welcome in. RS memes in chat, love it. 80K on Cyber Monday. Jesus, what's that? Are y'all talking about? Y'all going beyond? Y'all over me. Y'all must be talking about crypto. Y'all must be talking about something that I don't understand. And I want to be educated, y'all. I swear to God, bro. It's at one point I went down a rabbit hole, and for some reason, it's one thing that I cannot wrap my head around. I'm not smart enough. Like, it's just I can't get it. Like and I mean I've studied. Like I even made NFTs at one point. I was really into this shit, and it's something I don't get. Thank you, Evan. Welcome in, Joyce. But 80K, what is he? Reminds me of the old school cartoon Jetsons. The father was talking into his watch smartphone, and the housekeeper was a rolling robot. Gina, I remember like when I was growing up, when the movie Dick Tracy came out, and he had the talking watch, and it was just a walkie-talkie. And for us, that was groundbreaking technology. It was like there's no way you could fit a whole phone into a watch and talk into a watch and do all. There's no way at that time you would have been able to conceive that have a whole freaking computer in your watch, let alone because like when we were growing up, they would always tell us you're not going to always have a calculator with you. You're not going to always have a calculator with you. And we all, you know, those teachers, they couldn't have predicted that we would all have calculators and watches and all this other stuff. And it came so quick. Now we're going to have robot companions. And I mean, technically, you already can. If you turn on, and sometimes I do, like I said, I've told y'all before, you could turn on like something like ChatGPT or any of these AIs and literally just talk to it in your room. And even that is crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that a machine can talk to you and have a conversation with you, whether or not it understands or not, you understand it is crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Dick Tracy watch was insane, right? And I remember back in the early 2000s when these flat screen TVs came out and they were like $9,000. It was like, and then they started having like the cell phones really started getting smaller and trickling out, and you started to see that technology was really going to serve the people, right? From everything, from the video games, from the phones, from the TVs, everything, and they just got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper for all of the 2000s, the 2010s, cheap electronics, every day a new invention, right? Couldn't have thought that shit was going to happen. But now that they're making AI, cheap RAM that was like just a year or so ago, that affordable, it shot up by hundreds of dollars because we're in this AI race where everybody needs RAM, everybody needs GPUs and stuff in order to feed their AI machines, so the consumer gets squished out. Same with like I would say mid-level innovation, right? What I mean by that is like a person that would typically be able to build his own PC or something and come up with some project that will be innovative for everybody, maybe through an app or some type of web innovation or whatever that typically, you know, people that didn't have a lot of money would do. They're being priced out of the situation because who the fuck can afford to pay goddamn over $1,000 for 64 goddamn gigabytes of RAM? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because you're literally competing with companies who are trying to teach models to do X, Y, and Z because they need a return on the investment as far as AI. Who would have known, right? But that's the time we living in, right? And anytime it gets desperate, and the reason I bring up the early 2000s is for a reason, because shortly after a lot of that technology started to become like real cheap and mainstream, you had MP3 players, you had the iPhone being released, you had the rise of social media and stuff. What did they do? They threw us right into a fucking war with that goddamn 2001 shit. If you wasn't alive during that time, y'all don't understand how from it went from night from the perception of reality for Americans went from one thing to another overnight. You understand? And we allowed, and I'm gonna say allowed, the government to get us into a ridiculous quagmire that they couldn't explain themselves out of. Meaning, before that even happened the day before, there was trillions of dollars missing from, I think $2 trillion missing from the Pentagon budget, according to Donald Rumsfeld. Rest in piss. You understand? He reported that it was, $2 trillion missing. The next day, the attacks happened, including the one on the Pentagon that took out the financial investigators that were doing all of the stuff pertaining to that, sending us into a 20-year war to which a lot of you guys were alive enough to see us shamefully leave Afghanistan, a war that included that tricked a lot of my generation into going over there and fighting for freedom. But how has that turned out when right now in this time, most young people, or at least people my kids' age in their 20s, you know, early 20s, late teens, early 20s, they don't have prospects for finding a home. And that includes for the people that were those soldiers at the time. And here we are now with them talking about getting us into another war. And this is what this video is about. Now, I haven't talked about politics on this. I've tried my best to shy away from politics on this channel since the Charlie Kirk thing, okay? And there's a reason for that, okay? It's not because of him. It's not because of, there's a reason. And for those who know, okay? I don't have the resources or the stamina, okay, to necessarily go toe-to-toe with the powers that be over my opinions, right? Some opinions I have to keep to myself. You get what I'm saying? Thank you guys for the likes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, fuck Donald Rumsfeld. All those young people, all those young Americans, and all those fucking people he tricked, You understand? And like in any of the elite who rally for war but don't offer any sacrifice on their own. I can see, right, if the Bushes, the Cheneys, or any of these people were for their own sacrifice, for putting themselves in a line of danger for their conquest, but they wasn't. They threw American lives in the fire for what? You understand? And they couldn't explain why all of a sudden we were in Iraq displacing that regime. Same thing going on right now with Maduro in Venezuela. We're about to go to war in this hemisphere. Something I never thought was going to happen in my lifetime, but here we are. So we're about to go to war with Venezuela. That's what's about to happen. The United States of America has already made a no-fly zone over Venezuela. Do y'all know what that means? Do y'all know what that means? That means that without the consent or permission, written permission or whatever of Congress, the president has put a no-fly zone over a sovereign nation, because a lot of times when we do that, we plan on bombing certain military installations. That's what happened in Iraq. That's what happened in Afghanistan. You put a no-fly zone over there, you start doing military drills in the region in order for you to be able to move hardware very easily. I mean, we're already in the hemisphere in order to do whatever the fuck they want to do under the guise of, oh, we have to take out these drug cartels and Maduro is a criminal. I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that I know the politics between us and Venezuela. I don't. I am completely ignorant to that, okay? But I do know the optics. I know that the United States, the current regime, the current president has changed the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of Mexico. And now they're about to wage this whole unsanctioned war in the Caribbean. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know how else I'm supposed to perceive that or how else I'm supposed to take that. And y'all can say it's to stop the drugs from coming over, but y'all got to understand that there are a lot of actors. And when I mean actors, I mean they're organizations. I don't even want to name the agencies, okay? Because right now they're real dangerous. They're real dangerous right now. Before they're, oh my God, it's so much I want to say. Before, their operations against the citizenry was more covert, okay? And it was something that was almost seen by a lot of us as like the boogeyman shit. You know, it's the stuff of movies and stuff, the CIA, the FBI. But these are things that are done in the shadows. Even if they needed to manipulate people in order to work for them, even though, you know, you don't necessarily know that you're working for one of these agencies, you don't even know that you're doing the will of the state. Let's put it like that. You don't know, but you are. You could be an agent for the state, have no idea that you're an agent for the state. That's what I mean by covert. Now, they are openly trying to silence people who speak against the state or certain things that may throw a monkey wrench in their plans. Now, before, it's not like they haven't always done this. Don't get it twisted, okay? It's just that there was a level of professionalism before, right? What I'm seeing these days is outright thuggery, and that's scary to me because they just taking niggas out. And that's what I mean about the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I'm going to just leave it at that, okay? When you speak against certain people in the powers that be, and they put you in a position, even unbeknownst to you, they put you in a position, okay? You sit in that position, and they expect you to perform as you are supposed to perform, and you don't. They're going to take you out, and they're going to make an example of you. If you understand what the reason they shot him, that was a message to all people like me. Do y'all get it? Like, it was a message. And when I tried to express that and other people like me tried to express it, a lot of people didn't understand. Oh, this guy was a racist. And regardless of whatever the fuck he was, and I get you. I get it. It was a message. You get it? Like, you feel me? Like, okay. So we come to this time. We come to present day, a couple months later. All right. We got a lot of moving parts going on as far as a lot of these agencies. And we have a person that I've followed for a very long time. All right. Even if I didn't necessarily follow her channel, I followed her career since she has been on the scene. And at one point, I couldn't stand this woman. This is Candace Owens. I've talked about her, and I have to talk about her again, okay? Candace Owens, I've watched this woman be a conservative cuck. Like, you know, get up there. She has to tap dance for the Conservative Party. I've seen her debase herself in a way that was distasteful to me in the time when she was trying to do her come up as a commentator, when she was on YouTube, when she was doing a lot of her takes. I just didn't mesh with. Does that make sense? I didn't fuck with her like that. But over the years that she became more refined, she became more and more of a truth teller. Okay. And she started doing more of investigative journalism type shit. And in doing so, she started, and along with Kirk, they started to uncover some shit, at least within the power structure, that ain't supposed to be touched on. It's never supposed to be touched on. And if it is touched on, you need to touch on it in one direction. And if you don't touch on it in that direction and you have any amount of clout, you out of here. You done. You understand? And she touched on it. And when she saw him die, she decided to push it a little bit further to start naming names directly, to say, fuck it. I'm going to do, and this isn't her words, the Lord's work, and I'm going to expose these powers that be. But the powers that be aren't the powers that be just because they have money in their pocket. The powers that be are the powers that be because they are willing to kill in order to keep their power. That's it. Real power, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the monopoly of violence. Whoever can be the most violent, they're the winner. It don't matter how much money anybody got. You get what I'm saying? The United States, as an empire, maintains its hegemony over the world because of violence. Do you understand that? You should not be disillusioned with anything else. In nature, this is how it works. You understand? And throughout all of nature, it's almost funny. I heard a woman say, not say, but she wrote like a thing on TikTok talking about the natural way that a lot of animals deal with each other is by cooperating. No, they don't. The natural order of nature, those who sit at top, those who are the true kings, are the ones who are able, not just willing, but able to commit the most horrific forms of violence humanly imagined. You can sit up there and think it's money all you want, but even kings have fallen to the more violent horde. This is life. It has always been that way. You understand? So when you speak against those powers, the powers that controls those hordes, you have to be prepared for what comes to that with that. And sometimes that means death and humiliation. It's not just death. Death is one thing, but death and humiliation, to defame you, to debase your name, to make you into nothing. Everything that you built up, every truth that you told, they can invert it and turn it into a lie. That's what they do because they use money as a tool to control the masses. I'm trying to be careful with what I say. She has recently been threatened, okay? And sources have come out, multiple sources have come out to let it be known that the powers that be in our government are aware that a hit has been put out on this woman for what she has spoken about. What has she spoken about? At least within the powers that be, the French president and his wife and her her birth gender. This is something that she just talked about for a little bit. And after a minute, the French president and his wife tried to sue her. She was like, okay, you can't take down exposés here in America when we want to talk our shit against the powerful, right? We have freedom of speech here. And that's what she thought could protect her, okay? So they tried to sue her. And, I don't know where that went, blah, blah, blah. But eventually got to the point where she was exposing a little bit too much. She dug a little bit too deep. She touched a little bit too much. And then the White House hit her up. And the White House asked her to do a favor for them. Now, when the White House asks you to do a favor out of nowhere, a lot of people buckle because they say, okay, I'm going to get creeped out because the White House called you today and asked you to do something. It's going to spook most of us. It just is. It's going to be like, I need you to X, Y, and Z. I know even when the government arrested me and I showed up at the airport thinking I had to buy my own ticket at a random time, right? Random time during that day. And I showed up at that fucking terminal and it was already a ticket booked and ready for me at the random time I showed up. I know the sense of dread that went through my body. So I couldn't imagine the White House calling my house asking me to kill a story. I don't know if I'm brave enough to not kill that story. I don't know that, but she was. She said, I'm doing the Lord's work. So she didn't kill that story. She kept at it. And so they put a hit out on her. Yeah, they want her dead. But they don't just want her dead, they want her publicly executed. They want her silenced. They want to make an example out of her. Just like they made an example out of her friend, just like they made an example out of Kanye, just like they will make an example out of me, you, or anybody else that speaks against the powers that be these days. You can have freedom of speech, but what they always say, you're not free from consequence. You get it? And if you can't match their level of petty. Now, see, a person like me, I can say, I don't fear death. I'm okay. I'm good. They get me. They get me. Whatever, right? I can tell myself that, right? And fine, they get me. I die. Ooh. But I don't. But then when you start talking about when it hit you with, okay, yeah, we won't fuck with you though. We go after your mom. We go after your kids. We go after your niece and your brother and your family. Then you start thinking differently because how can you protect those people from the powers that be? You may be willing to die, but you're not willing to let them suffer. They have leverage over most of us, even if it isn't financially. You get what I'm saying? So when they want to wage their wars and they want you to believe the things that they want you to believe, if there are people that are in positions to make you believe one way and they're speaking against that power, they're going to get them up out of here and replace them with somebody that's willing to play ball. And it's not just the Trump administration. This is all administrations. This is all power. Even though some power, like I say, back in the day, had a veneer of professionalism, this is not the case anymore. This is thuggery. Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. You said Venezuela made the crack epidemic possible with our government. Absolutely. Absolutely. But look what our government does, like they do with most of their allies. They use them up, they'll build up their economy. And if they don't play ball at the end of the goddamn day, what do we do? We go in, we make war. And think about it. War is always profitable. If you've been alive as long as I have, you see, whenever the economy starts to do this, what does the government do? They start a conflict. And things start to get a little bit better. When now us here, we would say, oh, okay, it's okay. We got some jobs going, or the economy changed a little bit, or we're getting into this, or we have this. We'll look at it like this. But in reality, the only thing that keep us going as an empire, any empire, is war. No empire stays. It's like capitalism. Okay, capitalism has to constantly feed itself in order to sustain itself. So capitalism, you can't stay stagnant with capitalism. You have to always be growing. You have to always be making profit year over year over year. Otherwise, what are we doing? We either have to expand, or we have to break off, or we have to merge, we have to do something. That's capitalism, right? Same thing with empire. Empire is the same way. Empire can't stay stagnant, can't stay complacent within its own borders. That's not how that works. Empire, from the Roman Empire, from any empire that you look at, from even the freaking British, what do they all do? They expand. They have to. At some point, they become so big under the weight of the economics of the entitlement. I love that word. The entitlements, the things that you have to pay out, either to, at least when in antiquity, to your armies and to the different public servants that you necessarily have. Come to modern time, the different social programs that people need in order to sustain themselves, like the SNAP program and food stamps and stuff like that. Those do come from the state in order to sustain the status quo, in order to keep the machine churning. But when the machine starts to breaking down, like you start to see, and they're trying to get to this next level of empire, which involves robotics and AI, there has to be sacrifice. And what is that sacrifice? It has to be some country. And I'm pretty sure on their little board, whatever their map is, they were like, oh, Venezuela. Let's get them up out of here. That can bring us in this much. Because even already on the news, their politicians are talking about the oil. The oil companies in America can finally go in. They're saying this openly. They're saying the quiet part out loud. They're not trying to hide what they're about to do, right? So my thing is, who's going? Who's going? We didn't gain rights being scared. No, we didn't. And that's what I always say. No, at some point, you have to be okay with dying. At some point, there's a line, right? And you got to tell yourself, I'm not doing this. I'm not going through this. I'm not going to allow my kids to go through this. And if that's the case, then I'm getting up out of here, and I'm going to fight whatever I can, however I can, in order to do that. That don't always mean through violence. Sometimes, like I say, it's through community and coming together and spreading knowledge, or providing resources or just helping your neighbor that may need some help so that they can have a leg up too. And y'all and then sharing information in order to get to the next level. Sometimes it's just like that. You know what I'm saying? They are bugging now. They are they are bugging. Syndicate level secret society. The reason they're wanting to go into Venezuela is because of gold. They want the gold that is in Venezuela. They want all the resources. I'm pretty sure it's gold. Yeah, it's a lot of gold in Venezuela. It's gold, oil. They on TV talking about the oil. They on TV openly talking about ExxonMobil going in, Shell. They openly talking about that. And y'all got to also take in mind, they wouldn't mind they pipeline going all the way from Canada all the way down into South America. They wouldn't mind that. They wouldn't mind having power over all that. And if they have to fucking run over people in order to do that, they don't mind doing it because it's not their kids that have to fucking fight the war. They wouldn't put their kids in that situation to fight that goddamn war. They wouldn't. They don't care. They care not. And then because I rarely look at the news, I see they talking about next year. They're predicting that this volcano that's a mile wide by June is gonna erupt in the Pacific Ocean. A mile wide volcano in the Pacific Ocean, and that's not the main news. We're not trying to come together to deal with that situation. I mean, what can we do? But a mile wide earthquake in the Pacific or volcano in the Pacific Ocean that they project is going to cause 10,000 earthquakes around the planet at the same time. That seems like that's something that we should be preparing for. Oh, I appreciate you, Daniel. Let me see. Let me see what you say. You say he also just pardoned a drug trafficker who was ex-president of Honduras. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And brought 400 tons of cocaine to us. But we are going after for drugs. Yeah, we're going after Venezuela for drugs. Exactly. It's bullshit. Let me read that again. He said he has also just pardoned a drug trafficker who was ex-president of Honduras who brought 400 tons of cocaine to the U.S. But we are going to Venezuela to fight for drugs. Is bullshit, and it's always bullshit. They come up with a reason for us to go over there and like the funny thing is there's a lot of people that voted for Trump because he ran on the fact that there was no wars during my term, and I even gave him credit for that. I'll say, look, that's a talking point. You get what I'm saying? But of course, these people play this shit against us constantly, bro, and it's never about the people. It's to get into a position so that you can move the chess pieces the way that you want to move the chess pieces. But the chess pieces have to be moved, and no empire stays stagnant without moving those pieces. And that's where we are. That's where we've been my whole freaking life. And it's gotten so weird to get on here and talk about certain things because it's drowned out by so much noise. You see what I'm saying? Including from myself. Like I say, like there's a lot of circular conversations, right? About I don't know, people get desperate, they get on here, they talk about who owes them what and yada yada yada. I get it, right? Everybody wants somebody to pay for something for them, right? But I think that's just such a distraction from everything that's going on. If you got a volcano going off in June of 2026 and it's going to cause earthquakes around the world, maybe we can prepare as people, as humans, to deal with that catastrophe so we can get over it easily and not let it hit us in the ass like everything else do, and we panicking because cities are crumbling and shit and we don't know what to do. Hopefully it don't go off, but geologists saying the shit is going off. You know what I'm saying? Most sane people will welcome American support, I can imagine. Don't they need support because of U.S. embargoes and misuse? I don't, like I say, as far as the political, y'all probably, even just y'all saying that, y'all more likely know more than I do about Maduro, about Venezuela, the economy. I do know that our Navy just turned back, this is within the last few hours, just turned back a Russian fuel tanker from Venezuela, right? It tried to enter the country 3 times, and our Navy blockaded it 3 times. And eventually it went and docked in another country, but that's what's going on. If I know that as far as the way economics work on a global scale, I know if you're turning away oil from like a country like Russia, that's going to hurt the Russian economy because I'm pretty sure that that oil is a part of some money that they, like countries trade with each other. It's like a money type situation, which that would, I'm pretty sure, they didn't sink the vessel, but I'm pretty sure that's a act of war in a way to disrupt trade routes, right? They're also trying to say that, because you're saying to kill the bad guys. The president and the administration are saying even the boats that they're blowing up in the Caribbean are bad guys, but on a world stage, at least with the rules, they're saying that it's a war crime, that we can't just blow up small vessels like that and not give them quarter. They're saying that is, and that's a war crime. Like, you can't just blow up fucking vessels like that. Now, can you take them out? Can you board them? Can you do policing and all that? If you're, yeah, oh, absolutely. But using the military specifically in order to take out what is essentially probably civilian vessels from, even though those boats are coming there from one country to another, there's rules to this shit. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not putting my opinion out there whether I agree with it or disagree with it. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know who they're killing, why they're killing them, and that's the issue. That's the issue that a lot of the people on the international stages are having with our government blowing up those boats, because they're like, who the fuck are y'all killing? If y'all can't give us the names of those people, how the fuck do we know y'all just ain't just murking people? Like, which is a good point. But once again, those who have a monopoly on violence, you could say, I don't want y'all to do this. Just like even with this Venezuelan war, they're saying that the president hasn't even gone to Congress for permission, but he's saying, I'm not going to I don't need to go to Congress for permission because, like you said, he's going in there to kill the bad guys. So he's going to start bombing. He's going to start bombing military installations and stuff within the country, right? But whether you think that that's a narco state or not, it's still considered, especially by a lot of their citizens, a sovereign nation. So you can't, I ain't gonna say you can't, like I say, monopoly on violence. Once again, you can do whatever fuck you want when you got the munitions, the bomb, the firepower, whatever fuck you want to do it. But you're not supposed to just go in and start bombing up the country without having Congress's permission. You're not supposed to bomb up merchant vessels or speedboats or whatever the fuck in the Caribbean or any fucking sea without at least stopping them. That's what we got not the National Guard, the Coast Guard and stuff for, and if they, you can open fire on those ships if they start, just like with the police, if they start clapping at you or something. But as far as using satellite imagery to rain down goddamn missiles on niggas, it's kind of a lot, right? At least it's what they're saying on the international stage. Once again, I'm leaving my opinion out of it because I'm not knowledgeable enough to know who the fuck we're killing in order to say one way or the other. The U.S. the worst. Nagasaki, 500,000 citizens dead in Iraq for oil. Yeah, Daywalker, you're on it. Don't forget the Sudan Civil War. And the Sudan Civil War is a fucking heartbreak. And they don't give a fuck about them people. You're not going to see us going over there and getting in that because that is working as intended. That sounds real fucked up. Once again, like I say, there are actors that they put into these situations. Once again, that's all what's going on in the Sudan is United States interference. The people that are over there committing that type of shit, trust me, they're funded and paid for by those same powers that be that want certain people to shut the fuck up. That's the truth. And they're not going to send no type of force over there to stop them people because they want to gentrify, they want to clear out, they want to cull, they want as many of those people dead. Of course, you would sit there and say, we'll see the satellite footages of the piles of bodies. We'll see the like last week, they had the killing fields, right? They had in the Sudan, all these goddamn, you could see it from satellite, piles of bodies, piles of bodies, men, women, and kids, okay? Last month, they had the mother who went viral. And unfortunately, I thought she was viral. I thought she was traumatized. I thought she had got away. But apparently the people that were filming her were the murderer, were the mercenaries, where they were about to kill her, and she died with her kids. But that video of her in that field, traumatized as fuck, her kids huddled around her, they killed that woman, and she probably ended up in a pile somewhere, just like a lot of people out there. Those things are happening because the powers that be will it. You understand? Because those are the land that those people stand on is rich. And instead of trying to have some political discourse one way or the other, you can make warlords out of fucking madmen and have them go and do your dirty work. Never have to officially do anything. You keep your hands clean of it. This is what espionage and ideological subversion is about. You do things covertly. You have much more of an effect doing things covertly a lot of the times by committing acts of, let's say, genocide, like what's going on in the Sudan, like that, through mercenary groups, through guerrilla groups, through forces like that. Then you do overtly going over there and getting those people up out their land. You see what I'm saying? So if you go over there, you just root them people up out. The United States go over there and just root them people out or start a conflict. That's a whole thing they don't want to deal with. It's easier in that region to pay a warlord to go over there, murder people, and do what they do, and it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And so I see these videos, and it's heartbreaking for me because it's like I see people, like I've even seen videos from people there saying, y'all have to help us do something. This is fucking crazy. This is like literally like the Game of Thrones type shit. And so you go to this whole Venezuelan hot war shit. The hot war shit is a message, bro. It's a message to all of the other Latin presidents and governments in the region that if you don't play ball, y'all will get it too. It's the same thing we did in the Middle East. It's just what we do. Let me see. They're racing against. Let me see. They're racing against the Edom. Thank you, Black Hole. They're racing against the sun. All I'm going to say is that Venezuela just got their car pulled. So many assholes in the world. Sudan be pissing me off. I had to stop checking the news. It's too much. It's too much, Daniel. It's crazy. It's so much, and that's why I'm saying. That's why even for the last month, it's been so much that I've been wanting to say, and I've been wanting to make like videos on each individual thing that I've been talking about. But it's so much, and it makes you feel so goddamn small because what can you do? You can't do shit about it. Even like I make a video say, "Have y'all seen what's going on in Sudan?" I'm passing on some trauma, right? Even talking about it because some of y'all can go look it up, and it's like fuck, but it's happening, and that a lot of that is paid for by us. It's just true. Russia said they're nuking the planet of war with NATO because they're so small. I don't think they nuking anything. What nuking them talking about nuking each other and all that other shit is for everybody's. There's only one country that's ever nuked anybody. There's only one country. Only one country I know of that has ever nuked another fucking country. Like it takes a lot to take on that type of responsibility to drop a nuke. Because when you're dropping a nuke, a lot of times you're doing it like once again to send a message more than anything. And when you send a message, a lot of times you're going to do it over a civilian population or over a fucking place that's going to scare people. You see what I'm saying? It ain't going to just be military installation, especially you talking about nuclear weapons. I don't think they really want to do that. I think that's more Cold War like bullshit, right? And it's funny that we even talking like this in this time because when I was in school, and I'm talking about elementary school going into middle school, it was a real big deal that the Cold War had ended. It was a real big deal that the Berlin Wall had came down. It was a real big deal that the Soviet Union had broke up into these little countries and that we wasn't talking about nuclear war again. It was a real big deal that in 1992 we had this whole nuclear fucking de-proliferation situation to where we decided to stop testing nuclear weapons, at least out here in Nevada, for the time being. We back at that. The president said we back at testing. I don't know why we have to test when they've mastered the science, but whatever's clever. I'm like I said, I'm not a nuclear scientist, but it was a big deal. But we've reverted so quickly back into a Cold War type situation to where these so-called empires are vying for positions of power in these various spaces around the world, and it's coming to a fucking head. This Venezuela shit seems out of fucking nowhere, but obviously there's a lot of people that know about this shit, that have been prepared for this shit, that that have knowledge of this shit. This is just something I'm ignorant to. It's just something I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't mean it hasn't been talked about probably for years. Probably the government under multiple administrations, I'm pretty sure, have been talking about doing some type of operation down there. And it's just that Trump was the one that decided to pull the goddamn trigger in this time when you got Epstein lists and shit coming out and they don't want to talk about all that. Japan will rule the world right now if that action was not taken. Probably. La Bamba was the biggest, and La Bamba was the biggest, and was only a test. La Bamba was huge, and they stopped doing. They was doing atmospheric tests and all kind of shit with nuclear weapons. Soviet Union dried up, radiated the Aral Sea. Yeah, because you the biggest explosion I've ever seen on tape was them trying to test out the Russians trying to test out a missile. I don't know if it was a missile or a rocket. And it was such a big and unruly looking fucking rocket. This was way back during the Cold War. And it takes off. And it didn't just blow up the goddamn. It didn't just blow up the platform. It blew up the whole area. It wasn't just the city around it. It blew up every goddamn thing. Literally to this day, that's like the biggest explosion I've ever seen. I'm like, why do y'all need to make that shit? But once again, those are the, how to put it. It's a bittersweet thing, science, right? Because on the one hand, these weapons and these tests that they've done have led to a lot of the technology that we enjoy to this day, right? Like a lot of the things that came out of the Second World War, a lot of the things that came out of the Cold War, including the internet and stuff, you know, are products of billions of dollars going into research in order to fund these things. Even these cell phones and stuff, this type of technology has been available to certain powers that be forever, right? But they make it available to everybody because it's cheap and affordable. But that requires a lot of money, a lot of black, what they call it, black project research money to go into a lot of these things, right? So it's a bittersweet thing. They test on the people, they test on the food, they test on the atmosphere, they test on the water. And I told y'all, I didn't know they did psychological tests on people until I lived in Palmdale. And they did that bullshit with me and my family that I told y'all about. I didn't know that, but they do. And they're able to, I don't want to say implant thoughts, because they're probably able to do that too, but they're able to fuck with see, everything is frequency, okay? Like everything, like the universe is frequency, and including thoughts and shit, right? Somebody asked, so much I want to say. Oh my God, bro. I want to say certain things, but I can't say certain things, but I'll go this way. Somebody brought up in my comments on the last video I did, gang stalking, okay? And they asked me what's my opinion about gang stalking and talk about gang stalking and do I believe in gang stalking? Do I believe that when you walk outside that people are waiting for you to come outside to organize, to follow you, to, you know, be in a parking lot or to be in an aisle at the store? I don't personally believe that, right? I don't, right? But I believe that there is something to it, right? So don't chew my head off, because I know a lot of people believe in gang stalking, and anytime I try to express my opinion about it, people get upset with me because they think I'm being dismissive. I'm not. I just don't think that any one of us are that important, right? I don't think that, right? But I'm going back to that frequency thing. That's the reason I say that. Everything works off of frequency, right? We all do. I would be lying to you if I said that there are not times when I walk out here and there ain't nobody out here at all, or I go to the store, ain't nobody at the goddamn store, and then when I get there, now everybody's at the store. Or when I get to the line, everybody's in line all of a sudden, right? Nobody was even fucking in line, everybody's at the line. It's because there is a certain hive mind that binds us. I know you obviously have your own autonomy, right? But there is a connection, right? So just like you may feel everybody's coming out all of a sudden when I go out, you're doing the same thing for them, right? It's a bond, right? And so those frequencies that bind us, that hive mind that we can't hear, that that whatever allows us to communicate, I don't want to say telepathically, but without words, that without linguistics, that frequency in between us, they're able to manipulate that. So are there times where there are more people outside where you know goddamn well you looking out the window, ain't nobody been walking past at all, right? Ain't nobody. Ah, fuck. Ain't nobody out there. I'm gonna wait 5 minutes, right? Maybe, and I can't prove this, right? But I just something I think. Maybe some in some like somebody else somewhere is like, okay, in 5 minutes I'm gonna leave. Y'all get what I'm saying? And then at that time, when you waited 5 minutes and they waited 5 minutes, y'all just so happen to go out at the same time because there's a invisible tether that you just can't see, right? Like I literally believe that. I believe that's why how animals communicate. You ever see two dogs talk without talking or two cats talk without talking? They're saying something to each other, but they're not saying anything. But they're able to communicate whatever politics they're going through. They're able to communicate that without actually talking. That tether, that frequency. I believe that the powers that be have figured out a way to intercept that tether, to fuck with us, like to manipulate us in ways. It's not just through the phones. It's not just through the media. It's through a lot of things. Let me see. Thought it was actual game. Let me see. Talk about it. If a satellite can transmit, why can't a powerful human mind? I believe it. I believe that too. I believe that there's. I don't. I definitely believe that there are telepaths and psychics and remote viewing. The CIA takes it seriously. The U.S. government takes remote viewing and telepath seriously. So I take it seriously too. They've done a lot of research in this shit, right? To the point where in their MK Ultra project, so they started doing remote viewing way back in the late 40s, early 50s, because they were like, okay, there has to be something to this remote viewing stuff in order to see if we could see if people could see if some things are in other rooms. And through their research, they found that yes, there is a telepathic tether between people. Okay. It's just that some people's is a little bit stronger than others, right? Some people, if under certain condition, mostly through hypnosis, they can see into other rooms. They can, and not only can they see into other rooms, they can predict certain parts of the future. Now that's psychic. Really, they do it. And this is not just me saying, this is the government, and this is their own papers. This is MK Ultra research. This is all them fucking with people's heads and all this other stuff, right? So what they found is that, okay, certain people can communicate telepathically and all this. Let's do this remote viewing to try to come to see what the future's about. Because of course, like you could get people to look into the future. Let's see what they see. And do you know they stopped doing the research because a lot of the remote viewers all came to the same fucking conclusion? Now, that's all blacked out. They don't tell us what the conclusion is. They just say, oh, all the remote viewers came pretty much to a similar vision for how this where our future is going, right? Our not too distant future, right? Which is why I believe so many celebrities and powerful people have built all these bunkers. I believe they know exactly what those remote viewers saw and what's coming and that, you know, all of that. I believe that there's that there's something to that. And if you saw the movie The Watchmen, right? The Watchmen, where Dr. Manhattan could see the future. He could see his future at least, and the things that would happen in his future. And at some point, he came up to a block, right, where he couldn't see past a certain point, right? And he knew it wasn't because he died, because he's like immortal. But there was something that happened that was so big that he couldn't see past that. That's based on, I believe, what our remote viewers came up with. Like our remote viewers that were working for the government and stuff, they came up to a point where they couldn't see past a certain future. And I think that creeped out a lot of people in the government because, like, what the fuck, right? And at least in the movie, what ended up happening was, you got to watch the movie. It was a reason he couldn't see the future, but it was a cataclysm, right? It was a man-made cataclysm, but it was a cataclysm nonetheless that made it so that he couldn't see the future in a way that he could predict the future before. So when you come to this time where there are certain mediums that work within these organizations that have come to a certain conclusion, it goes to show that some of them probably believe that we're up against a wall that we're not going to get past unless, you know what I mean? Like, let me see the Unabomber, Homburg. I believe in the psychic stuff. They made movies about it, like The Shining, the project, move to AIB to become better predictive mind. There you go. There you go. You get it. And even then, they were talking about how these AI models, some of them are like entities. So yeah, like in what you say, like this predictive mind thing, like, oh man, it's so much, bro. And I'm not, I wish I was smarter. I just wish I could understand more. There's so much to know. But it throughout everything. Let me see. I never tried to just research. I never tried it either. I've been the closest I've come is similar to how the majority of Black people didn't march during no King protest. A lot of Black people have the shining. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but we can feel people's spirit. I believe that we do have a sixth sense that we're attuned to as Black people, because as Black people, you know, we could walk in a room and we could just feel the shit like, all right, yeah, I need to dip. These people were this or these people were that. I do think there's something to that, and I think there's something to the spirit to that, but I also think that that has been honed because of there's times where Black people wasn't allowed to communicate, you know, audibly or with silence. We just have to like look at each other like, you know what I'm saying, without risk of getting in trouble and stuff like that. I've never tried remote viewing myself, but the closest I've come, and I've told y'all about this, but I'm gonna tell it again because these are my stories. This is my life. I've left my body twice in my life. Okay, and the first time, you know, it was a smooth experience. I entered this. I was in, I would say, three places at once. It was my physical body laying on the bed. It was my spiritual self running in. No, it was my spiritual self laying on the bed. It was my physical body running in and out of the room. And then it was my metaphysical self, like in a place without form. Okay. And I was able to perceive all reality without form. And it was nice. The second time it happened, and we live by these power lines that always buzz, like, you know, those really big highway power lines. You would always hear them. And I remember falling into it again. And the way that it happened, I can remember it as vividly as yesterday. It almost felt like, and it's gonna sound funny, like putting you know, like the stuff that's inside of the mattress, like the foam stuff. That's what it felt like in my mouth. It felt like my mouth started to feel like that, like material. But then it went from that to like a, you know, like the little spiky things that fall out the tree. Then it went to that, but it wasn't painful. It was like I was able to change that sensation like on the fly. That's how it starts. And then all of a sudden, I don't have a body, and I'm just like in this white place, and that sensation is all over. It's like I'm able to, like, I don't need a body, like, but at the same time, I can see my body. I can see through my eyes, right? Like my spirit's eyes or whatever, and I can see my physical body running back and forth. But the second time it happened when I start to feel the sensation. I fell into the white place, and then I pulled myself out of it. And the moment I pulled myself out of it, I woke up in literally the worst pain I've ever been in besides my teeth. And it felt like somebody stabbed me in the stomach. It felt like I couldn't move, like my muscles were weak. I felt fucked up. And I crawled to my mom. We had all the lights out in the house. We didn't have beds. We were laying on the floor. I crawled in the living room to my mom. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I don't know. Something's wrong with my stomach." She told me to go and puke. I go to the bathroom. I puke up a fucking pint of blood. Like, as soon as I get to the toilet, blood just starts fucking just. So the paramedic came and got me. They took me. They put me in the hospital for 3 days, and they couldn't tell you to this day what the fuck was wrong with me. You get quick 1 or 2 second flashes of random moments of the future, months ahead. And it's like it's like a dream that you can't like make out, right? Similar to how the majority of Black people, oh, you said I read that part. Cool. I used to get that kind of stuff really bad when I was young. Burning the herb really helps nullify that kind of stuff. It does. Burning the herb nullifies dreams altogether. I don't dream. I rarely dream. I used to want to experience the supernatural, so I was thinking a lot of the stuff I can see and know is kind of awesome. Oh shit, we back. Oh yeah, oh what's up, Capital? I kidding. No, it's the supernatural. When something supernatural happens to you, you're gonna question if it's never happened to you. you're gonna question like yourself for a second. You're gonna be like, am I tripping? Right? Because I like the first time I saw a ghost, your brain don't register kind of for a second. So it's almost like one of my favorite scenes is the very first Ghostbusters movie, right? The very first part when they go into the library, the very first thing, and they go into the library, and obviously they want to start this business, right? And they obviously believe in ghosts because they got a ghost hunting business. So they go into the library, and they know they're gonna see a ghost in here. They know it. They obviously didn't brought the equipment. They are Ghostbusters, dude. This is gonna be our business. But when they fucking see the ghost, and they see that first fucking ghost, they out of there. They know fucking your body can't move fast enough because you know what I'm saying. You just say it's too much. Let me see. Yeah, and then it plays out later stronger than deja vu. So like the vision. So when I was younger, it was like that, but it was different for me. It was never a vision. It was more of like a scent. Like it was like this scent. It's like I can't even explain it. And it would I would know when that scent was around that and then you get like you said like a sense of deja vu, like I've been here before. This like something's about to go down, and I can never put my finger on it. That's why I say like it's like a dream that you can't describe to people. You know what I mean? Machine, I really want you to do more lives about those type of experiences you've had in your life. Also, please do more lives about those when you lived in Palmdale. Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely talk about that stuff because the shit was crazy, bro. The shit was insane. And it's crazy because even when I talk to my kid's mom about that time now, it's still so crazy for us to talk about because it was like it's weird. Like it's weird. And the thing about it was she was the one that put me onto it. She was the one that was like, something's not right, something's off, something's off. And I'm like, it's just because you got to take in mind we were a young family. It was just me, her, and my son at first, and it was just us. It was just us in Palmdale, and so us living alone, us, for because before we either lived with her family or we lived with my family, or my family lived with me. It was like some variation of that. But when we moved out to the Antelope Valley, it was just us. And if you ever had a young family, you ever been the head of a young family, especially as a man, you don't want everybody creeped out. You want everybody to feel safe, right? And so when she's telling me X, Y, and Z, I'm just like, try not to be paranoid. There ain't nothing outside the house hovering. But I heard it. Like I did hear it. Like, like I didn't hear it, but I can't sit there and be like, yeah, what the fuck it is. We need to go out there and fucking fight some goddamn aliens. That's what we need to goddamn. No, it wasn't. It ain't that. It steals your nerves to a point that it's like I said, it's supernatural. It's not right. And when it got more intense, there was a feeling of isolation because it's all we talked about as far as to other people. It's not like we stayed quiet about the shit. We talked about it. We described it to people. It was one point my mom and my brother came out and they stayed with us and they saw what the fuck we were talking about. We lived on the second floor. It was only two. It was two floors. First floor, second floor. At one point, it was middle of the night. We all sitting there. We start hearing the hovering. We hear something hit the roof. Boom. Like something, and then something running on the roof. My mom was like, why are they up so late? And she's like, who, y'all got to upstairs? She's like, wait a minute, y'all live upstairs. Yes, we live upstairs. There should be nobody running on the roof. Nobody. There was things out there that you just can't. It was nights where me and my kid's mom, we would be sitting there on the couch just like this, not saying a word to each other, just listening for hours. And when I say it sound like fucking Star Wars outside, on my kids' life, it sound like Star Wars outside. It sound like and it felt like we were someplace completely where we wasn't. And there was this paralyzing feeling. Whenever you get to the goddamn, let's say, okay, you hear this, and I say hear. Hear is an understatement. You're not hearing anything. There's no noise, but you feel the vibration. You feel it. You can feel it all throughout you. And the closer you get to the goddamn balcony to go see what it is, the stronger the sense of dread is over you. And it's not because I'm afraid. I'm not a scary person at all. It's like a barrier. It's like something keeping me from doing it. It's weird, bro. And you sit there and you listen to this shit and you listen to it and you go to sleep and you wake up the next day and you like nothing happened. Shit will come up missing, fucking all kind of stuff. But I've come to the conclusion that it wasn't supernatural. I think that shit was a test. I think that all that shit, and I'm not the only one that's been through stuff out there. Anybody that's lived out there will tell you different shit that they've gone through in different capacities as far as living out there in that goddamn desert. It's not just me. Ask people that live out there who have a fucking open. You don't have to have a fucking open mind. Have they seen some weird shit out there? Yeah, you live out there long enough, you're gonna experience it. My cousins had said that shit before I moved up there, that it was crazy shit out there. I'm like, oh, it can't be that. It can't. Oh, yeah, it's that. It's all of that. It's all of that. I saw a video. What was it? 2 weeks ago of somebody in Roseman. I think it was Roseman. Roseman is out there in Antelope Valley too, saying, hearing the drilling, hearing the underground, same noise I heard. I was telling y'all about in the thing, in the fucking video, same thing, because they're digging a fucking tunnel. There's a tunnel under. There's a whole tunnel system under that valley. Whole tunnel system powered by all of those fucking windmills and shit that they got sitting on that goddamn mountain out there. All of that. It's weird. Look it up. Look at the map. Y'all tell me that ain't a fucking, that whole valley ain't a fucking military base. And a little bit of cities that are around there ain't the rats. And we ain't the test people, including my kids, me, my family, everybody that lives out there. It's crazy work. And they'll tell you to this day it's crazy work. You sit out there for a little bit, you can go out there and do shit to the sky and watch the sky talk to you back. You just gotta be open to that shit, bro. It's crazy. And can you give us your thoughts and experiences about gang stalking? I told you, you just missed the whole gang stalking talk. My experiences with it, I'm not gonna go completely into it, but I didn't completely talk about it. So the reason I give it credit, right? I know I just I went on a complete tangent. I'm sorry, y'all. The reason I believe that there's something to it besides the frequency stuff is because there's been a lot of professional people with. I'm talking about doctors, okay? I'm talking about Hollywood producers. I'm talking about dentists. I'm talking about people that are reputable fucking people. Of a couple of lawyers I've seen who believe that they're being gang stalked, right? Now, as far as the doctors, as far as even a Hollywood producer, they know consciously, right, that they're being crazy, quote unquote. And I don't want you to be offended, okay? I'm just telling you what they're saying. They know that when they go outside, everybody ain't setting up the stage to follow them. They know, not consciously, they know intellectually that that's probably not what's going on. But for some reason, they can't get over the belief that that's what's going on. They can't get over it. They can't get over. When I go out there, these people are out there with me. It ain't just because we're linked, like I said a few minutes ago, with all that other stuff. It's because these people get paid to put on clothes, to go out there. When I go out there, to stalk me, when I go from place to place, they something in their soul believes that. Something in their heart of hearts believe that. I've seen their videos. Their videos for me are never proof of anything. For me, they're never proof of anything. They'll look out the window, and sure enough, ain't nobody out there. They're right, ain't nobody out there. Then I was like, all right, we're gonna go out here, and there's gonna be people out here now. And they go outside, and there's people out there. It happens. It happens to us all, right? Because it reminds me. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not dismissing it. Like I say, I think there's something to it. I just don't understand it because I haven't seen the proof enough to know that that's a thing, right? I haven't seen proof enough of them following somebody that's followed them to the gang stalking situation, station. If I'm being stalked by people every day, me personally, I'm crazy though. I'm starting to stalk back. I'm going to look for specific individuals who are stalking me, right? And then I'm going to start following them and see where they're going, because you ain't going to just be fucking following me. We're going to follow each other, right? I need to see who the fuck is following me, but you never see that. It's always random. It's always like even if it's not a random person, even if it could be the person that live in the building. Like, look, he never comes and checks his mail until I come and check my mail. That's, to me, that's like, that's not proof. I'm not saying that there's not something to it. I'm saying for me, that's not evidence enough that you're being stalked, right? Now, there are people that go outside and they say, okay, there's nobody at this park. When I came to this park, now all of a sudden there's this scene, right? There's this movie scene. There's nobody at this what do you call it? Grocery store. Now all of a sudden there's all these people at this grocery store. What the fuck, right? I don't believe that's gang stalking. That's not proof enough that those people are coming out there to stalk you specifically. Once again, I don't believe that we as individuals, like moving through out here, are that important. Like for those people to live their lives revolving around us as individuals. Does that make sense? Nobody's being paid to follow me. Nobody. And if they are, why? Y'all can watch me through the fucking cameras. Like y'all, they know my goddamn schedule. There's a million cameras down here downtown. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? If they really wanted to follow me, they can. They don't need to hire individuals to fucking stalk me. You know what I'm saying? And that I'm not that important. Who the fuck cares? You know what I'm saying? If you need to know, I can tell you. You don't need to stalk me. You know what I mean? Experience is the greatest reality, like the Truman Show. But people believe that's going on. I'm not saying that there probably isn't some level of that going on. I'm not saying it is not. I'm not dismiss. Like I say, I'm not. I don't like dismissing stuff outright completely without understanding it. Just because I don't have the proof, don't mean that there's not something to it. Just because I believe a certain way, don't mean that there's not something to it. There's enough people that believe it that in my brain there has to be something to it. It's just that I haven't seen the evidence of it, right? I haven't seen most of the people that are taught, even like I said, the doctor, the producer, even they know they're not important enough to be followed like that. You know, like why would you be followed like that? But they believe that they're being followed. They do. They believe that these people are trying to drive them crazy for whatever reason. They do. I like the Truman Show. I love the Truman Show. I hope the Truman Show, like the real world, is like the real world at the end. Canada capitalistic, just like the U.S. Hell yeah, it is. Canada, y'all up there are our little brother, bro. And for all of the fucking people try to act like Canada and the United States are like these two big different countries. The only difference here is that I ain't gonna say the only difference. I'll say there's a huge difference. The difference is we crazy. We crazy down here, bro. Y'all still got some sense about y'all up there. You know what I mean? Y'all still got a little bit of decency, you know? Like we're literally living down here in America in the full dystopia now. We've gone past the veil at this point. We are crazy down here. We drugged up, okay? We broke 1 minute. We fucking, somebody said individualistic like a motherfucker. We don't believe in our government. We don't believe in our churches. We don't believe in our leaders. We don't believe in our parents. We don't even know if we can get through the goddamn day without anything. And we're armed. We like to party. We like to invade other countries. It's just a nightmare. We have probably more nuclear weapons than anybody, more weapons than anybody. It's insane. It's literally crazy. If you used to literally look at it if this was like a movie and used to change the names of the movies, we literally would be the bad guys. We would be the bad guys. It wouldn't be no question. We would be the Empire in Star Wars. That's why I avoid the U.S. I like you guys, but it's the damn wild. It is. It can be. It can be. It's crazy. It's bad. But you guys, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna go and get some dinner. I've been told GTA USA. They say that GTA can only be done in the USA, and I believe that's the case because of stuff like that. I saw a video. What was it from a couple years ago? Right here on this freeway, of the dude the cop shooting out of his goddamn car. I'm like, you ain't hitting nothing. Them bullets going all over the place. But yeah, it is like GTA out here, guys. Thank you guys. We had a great conversation today. I'm glad y'all guys getting like mess with this shit, bro. I feel like I'm not like crazy and talking about some of this shit. But y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all feel me. There's a lot more I want to say, but I can't. Unfortunately, like the the freedom of speech situation in this country, in all countries, not just America, it's all over the place. We it's tenuous right now. You know, you have to be real careful with what you say because, and not even like, cause I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill me. They're not gonna kill me. I'm not. I don't have that type of influence. But what they do is they bury you in an algorithm. They uh make it so that you don't you constantly being fed negativity. They do what they can to keep you in a low vibrational goddamn state. You know what I'm saying? Even though I am hyper aware of the world around me, and there's a lot of stuff I want to speak on, you know, I the best thing I can do is just like point in a direction, you know what I'm saying? And maybe due to the fact that I said something and y'all interacted with the content, it'll pop up in y'all algorithm, and people that are much more knowledgeable and uh intelligent about specific things can talk about the subject matter. For me, over the next few weeks, I am going to try to learn more about Venezuela, our relationship with Venezuela, our history with Venezuela, because like I say, I am completely ignorant to U.S. Venezuelan relations. I have no idea why we're going to war with them, so I don't have any opinion in one direction or another as far as the reasoning, right? I personally don't want the United States going into another war because the reasoning usually that our government gives is never the correct one or the true one or the right one. It's usually for some other bullshit. So I don't want to invade another fucking country. I don't want to send those people down there through that. I don't want, you know, I get that there's issues between the president. I get that there's cartels. I understand all that. I get that, at least that much of it. But at the same time, the cost of human lives, I don't want none of that. I personally know a lot of Venezuelans. I've known a lot of Venezuelans in my life. You see what I'm saying? I know that they are family oriented people. I know that a lot of Venezuelans that live here, American Venezuelans, uh, or Venezuelan Americans, still have family back there in that country because this is a close to home situation that we're talking about now. And if we don't go down there and start bombing, you know, in any capacity, not just Venezuela, but anywhere you go, you go and you start bombing countries, you have to consider that there are civilians down there and that you are changing lives in a lot of ways. I'm not just talking about the American citizens that will go down there and participate in that, but the people that live down there in their day-to-day life that may not be ready for that. I know that down there they're preparing their citizens the best they can for war with the United States of America, and in watching the footage of them arming their citizenry to prepare for a ground invasion from our forces, I take pity on them because I know that the moment anybody shoots at the United States military, they're gonna go at them. And y'all just saw that they had these two soldiers killed. I really wanted to talk about that, but I'm gonna stay my tongue for a little bit longer while things work out. One of the soldiers did just lose her life to that attack. Apparently, that guy was from Afghanistan, and going back to what I was saying earlier, was an asset to one of the three-letter agencies that are running amok in this country. Okay, he was let in on a visa, what is it, a good ally or some shit visa into this country, and he went to DC and he shot two of our soldiers. Now, for me personally, I take politics out of it, that pisses me off for a couple reasons. For one, we could look at the fact that yeah, we have soldiers in uniform in our cities right now, which can make them targets for terrorists. Typically, we don't have that. You know, soldiers, you know, going from point A to point B when they're at the airport, or they're going from station to station, they may wear their battle dress uniforms or whatever. But typically, you don't see them out and about in the cities as the National Guard and stuff as you have within the last couple months. And I personally, like I say, I'm not the smartest part. I'm not the brightest fucking tool in the shed or the sharpest tool in the shed. I never considered that having National Guard in these different cities can make them targets for terrorists that want to come over there and take some revenge on the last 20 years of us being over there in the Middle East. But rest in peace to that young lady and to any soldiers that are going to be stationed in any city right now in the United States understand that there are a lot of sleeper cell agents here in the United States, and they want to strike at United States soldiers. And being in the city, just lax. Most of our soldiers you are lax in the city as they supposed to be. Even though they're on patrol, even though they're doing they rounds, they're lax in U.S. cities because they home, they stateside. They're not on edge. It ain't like they're over there in Afghanistan. So they can be ambushed, right? And they're being ambushed by fucking motherfuckers like this, cowards. Like I did like I'm trying not to get pissed off. I don't like seeing American soldiers being attacked. Y'all got to take in mind that despite whatever I may think about the government, despite whatever I may think about a lot of stuff, I come from a military family, and I don't like that shit, bro. I don't like the fact that them niggas is out there like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the fact that to me it seems like they setting them up to be attacked, right? So that they can use it as pretense to go to war wherever to say whatever the fuck they want to do. And I don't like that. And they've done this time and time again through different conflicts throughout this country's history by using the blood of United States military personnel to get the public behind bullshit. And it's pissing me the fuck off. But that situation, I question it. Not obviously I think it happened, but I think that the conditions that led to it happening, there was a lot of hands in it that are not going to go punished because these hands are attached to the powers that be. The U.S. say you gotta use American dollars to buy oil. That's crazy. The regime we're under will use that as ammunition when any other administration. This is wrong. This is going to be a rough 4 years. The drug thing whack. Just want to leave you with this little bit. 22 degrees, 7 inches of snow in county. Oh no. Oh no, I don't miss the fucking Midwest at all. And my mom wants me to come out there and visit so bad, Jeannie. She wants me to come out to Milwaukee so bad. But I'm like, it's gonna have to be spring, mom. I can't do that winter. I can't do that. And I just got the lady friend. Let me show y'all this shit. Let me show y'all this shit real quick before I get off of here. I just got this. Now I don't get that cold out here, but it gets cold enough. And I hate the cold. That's why Gina said that. And my lady friend, my lady, she bought me this nice little situation here. This this jacket is look at this. This is hold on, I gotta turn on the thing. This jacket keeps you warm, right? So even today it was a little cold here for me. Usually I wear multiple layers. Anybody that knows me knows that I wear so I be up there cold as shit. And I only needed one freaking thing. Look at that. It comes on. Let me turn this off real quick so y'all can see it. Move this light. So that comes on. Y'all can see. And then it heats up your chest. It heats up your back. And then it heats up your neck. You can it's almost like a cyberpunk situation. So it's like it'll heat up your neck, right? And so if I didn't want to heat it, you could turn it. Oops. Nope. I want to keep it on. Turn it back on. Come back on. Turn it back on. But let's say I just wanted to heat. I don't want to heat my neck because it's like heating my neck right now. So I could turn that off and it'll change colors. See, it'll turn white on there. And then if I just wanted to just my back. So there's 3 different temperatures. So there's a medium, and then there's a light, and then there's heat. But for a person like me, I hate the cold. And I love this jacket and it's freaking waterproof. I love this, bro. Yeah, I look like an Arthurian G. It's not since 300. Let's see. 22 degrees, 7 inches of snow just makes me sad. Right outside my window. God dang. I need one of those in Canada. It's very nice. This motherfucker is. Look, I'm gonna show y'all what it came in. It didn't even come in a regular goddamn. Look at it. It came with some. This shit right here. It came with his own bag and everything. I'm like, what are we doing? The water runs off of it and everything. I like all these pockets and stuff so I can hide my weapons. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing government. I got all the weapons on me. So with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for joining me, y'all. I be using a sleeping bag right now to keep warm. Sleeping bags work. They help. Go check. Go catch it. He's more machine than man. All right, I'm done with y'all. I'll catch y'all next time. I'm trying to go live maybe tomorrow evening. Y'all know I don't want to make no promises, but I am gonna try to go live for maybe about 30, 40 minutes tomorrow, talk about some shit, especially if this stuff escalates a little bit further. We're gonna get there. But I'll catch y'all next time, y'all. Bye.